Minister, both you and your government are sleepwalking our country into a catastrophe. In the last week, we've heard from Dr. Patrick Bresnahan from Maynooth University, who warned that if all the proposed data centres go ahead, they would account for up to 70% of our grid capacity by the end of the decade. And in the same week, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar sounded like a spokesperson for big tech when he was quoted in the papers announcing plans to update our data centre policy, having been directed to do so by Google, Amazon and Microsoft. If it wasn't so farcical, it would be so damaging to our country. This government is throwing our emissions targets out the window and handing our precious water and energy resources over to big tech companies, and all under the eyes of yourself, Minister for Climate Change. And what's the government's response to this and the climate emergency generally? Slap a higher carbon tax on domestic users, normal people, Minister, and turn a blind eye while energy costs skyrocket, while we prepare for the possibility of blackouts this winter and water shortages down the line. So it looks like it's not just developers who are writing housing policy for this government. Big tech is writing our climate and energy policy too. There are 2 data centres planned for the IDA Business Park in Drogheda. This is a business park that was supposed to provide 5,000 jobs for Drogheda. These 2 data centres will provide anywhere between 60 and 100 jobs. But they will use as much water as Kilkenny City and 1.5 times the energy use of Kilkenny. And there's actually a 3rd data centre in the planning for our town. The Stilleen water plant outside Drogheda is already struggling. We have had water shortages, and you'll remember them. They were on the media, on the news every night, and significant problems with water infrastructure in the Drogheda area. Irish Water reps actually told me on site at the Stilleen water plant several years ago that the capacity isn't there, long before there was 3 data centres in the planning process. The applications for these are not providing solutions for what will happen during periods of low rainfall or when we have hot weather, which means data centres need more water for cooling, or at a time when water is already scarce. But the fact that local authorities responsible for giving planning permission don't take account of any of this is completely reckless. Now, I said earlier that Taoiseach was out talking on behalf of the tech companies and to changing our policy. There's obviously others there behind you too that's in favour of that. This madness has to stop. Deputy O'Dowd, when the lights go out in Drogheda and people are forced to wait for water tanks, you can give your speak then, because you'll be directly responsible for it. Minister, before it's too late, put an end to this madness. Do something before it's too late.
Thanks, Deputy Paul.